These states will continue, up to the 100th year, by increasing, and after the 100th year, the events and changes that started in the world will begin to give some meanings to mankind, about the real nature and implications of all these events. The states which continued up to now as simple changes will now begin to develop, within a complete turmoil, and in an explicit way which expresses the changing of the old world orders and devices. Ice sheets in the colder regions will start to melt, and as some cold regions get warmer, distinct changes will begin in the climates of the world. Within these states which seem in complete disorder, there are orders and devices, which are preparatory for the realization of the forthcoming days of deliverance and good news for mankind. As the world gets increasingly warmer, in some places major differences in the seasons will appear. There, scorching heats will prevail in summer and winter, the cold weather will be in excess. And towards the last days, seasons will completely change, the current mild climates will become hellishly hot like the tropical regions, and formerly cold climates will become the hot regions of the world. Consequently, many cities will become uninhabitable because of the hot weather, on the one hand, hellishly hot regions, and on the other unendurable aridness of the former vast fertile lands, which has now dried and turned into deserts. Following the 100th year, great natural events will commence, and they will cause the mass deaths of mankind in parts, and states which are deemed as great disasters by mankind will follow each other. Nevertheless, despite the death in such large numbers, the population of the world will not decrease, but on the contrary, increase. For example, the world population, which has reached 2.5 billion today, will increase up to 6 or 7 billion by then. The main reason for this increase is the coming back of all the beings to the world, who have left the world until now, and accumulated in the spatium. All beings of the spatium will come back to the world, in order to live in this last world cycle, and benefit from the great possibilities and knowledge of that period, which are preparatory for future lives. And this will cause the occurrence of births at large scales, from place to place. Actually, the rush of the ones in the spatium towards the world, and the increase of the world population, have already begun. Here we state that, mankind of those times, in the last days of the Mu world we have previously mentioned, were prepared in the same ways. These portents we have mentioned, had displayed themselves there as well, and taught many things to mankind. Now, the same devices are starting to be repeated for mankind as well. The ones who compare the parallelism of the knowledge we have previously given about the events before the closing of the Mu world with the events about the closing of this last cycle of the world, see that there have been almost no alterations between them. We summarily state the final states the climates will take at times very close to the ending of the world. The northern parts of Russia will become extraordinarily cold in winter, -60 degrees Celsius to -70 degrees Celsius, and in summer, it will have temperatures of mild climates, 0 degrees Celsius to 25 degrees Celsius. North Greenland, Scandinavia, European North Russia, the Caucasians, Afghanistan, Tibet, China, Japan, and Alaska will be quite hot in summer, 45 degrees Celsius, and quite cold in winter, -50 degrees Celsius. In South Greenland, England, and all countries of Central Europe, from the northeast part of France, in England, northern France, Denmark, Belgium, Holland, Germany, Switzerland, Austria, Czechoslovakia, Hungary, the entire Balkans, the northeastern part of Italy, Turkey, northern Greece, Iran, Pakistan, and the northern part of India, there will be summer temperatures of tropical quality, 50 degrees Celsius to 70 degrees Celsius, and winter colds below zero, -20 degrees Celsius to -8 degrees Celsius. In the southwestern part of Italy, Sicily, southern parts of Greece, the Mediterranean region, the whole of Africa, Madagascar, Arabian Peninsula, the southern part of India, Malacca, Indonesia, New Guinea, the Philippines Islands, Australia, New Zealand, the southern part of Canada, the whole of the United States of America, California, Mexico, Venezuela, Colombia, and the northern part of Bolivia. There will be continuous hot temperatures in summer and winter. Temperatures in these regions will continuously vary between 40 degrees Celsius and 70 degrees Celsius. This situation belongs to the final stage of the world. Climates will be entering gradually into these states, only 50 years later. That is, world climates will not be abruptly passed into final degrees of temperatures which we gave here, but gradually across the years. Towards the final moment of world revolution, all natural events will intensify, tremors will increase, floods, deluges, major landslides, land fissures and great earthquakes which can devastate a few cities at once, will continue following each other, and mankind will encounter another, and more terrible disaster not long after the previous disasters. In the meantime, naturally, there will be deaths en masse, pandemics will occur, life on Earth will cause much suffering and be arduous. Reasonable, knowledgeable and well-prepared mankind, when they can see this situation, will understand very well that world matter is not sufficient for world mankind, and the world is making this truth dawn on mankind. And so a moment will come when the majority of mankind will understand that there is no place left in the world for them to live. And this will be the most perfect order and device of the world, which has been established, so mankind may see the truth with complete clarity, and through the power of this order and device, mankind will acquire the strength to open wide the gates with great longing, which separate the two realms we have mentioned above, that is, they will begin to attain the light of their comprehension. This turmoil will confuse mankind by increasing and becoming inextricable, and finally a moment will come, and from that moment on, the world that has been in the throes of death will soon close its eyes to its former life. At this stage, the world will look like a boiling cauldron. During this final stage, which will continue for only a few days, all continents and the seas will be in turmoil. The ground and the skies will shake. In the meantime, the ground will be fissured and come apart. These parts will continuously shake, as if dried leaves were rocking back and forth before an immense wind. They will go up and down. The earth beneath every foot will shake. Vast cracks will occur. Out of these cracks the blackest smoke and toxic fumes will gush. These fumes will gradually cover the earth. It will get dark around. This smoke will be in the form of clouds of fume, containing the vaporous toxic gases, made out of burning coals in the substratum of the ground mixed with waters. It will waste the mankind en masse. In some places, the width of these crevices, which are at enormous lengths, will reach to 30 or 40 kilometers. And large pieces of land, together with their cities which mostly have already been destroyed, and large mountains, will begin to topple down into these wide open pits of fire. For example, Turkey may be buried in such a crevice with a 50 kilometers width, with all of her parts up to Lake Van. These enormous and vast abysses of fire will be opened here and there all over the world, and the hills, mountains, valleys, plains, and vast pieces of land, together with all their devastated cities and damaged developed areas on them, will roll down into these abysses. And the remaining survivors of the inhabitants of those places will be buried in these fire pits altogether. Meanwhile, some fire pits will spurt out lava as hot ashes all around, and these will fall down on mankind as rain of fire. At the same time, enormous and dense clouds will cover the skies of the world. Ceaseless lightning, with violent thunder, will strike through dense black clouds of fumes and vapor, and touch down all over the world, illuminating all around. On the one hand, as the thunder muffles the screams of mankind, the underground roars, the din as the gases and lava spurt out and overflow from the blown-up fissures and opened cracks, as mankind unconsciously yells and cries out amidst the suffocating and burning fumes, the opening of the fire pits and abysses, the pieces of land which shake like dried leaves, lightning. On the other hand, oceans surrounding the continents will rise as never seen before, and the seas will heave as enormous mountains, which contain billions of tons of water, will begin to attack upon the continents. This situation is now the last hours of the world. The face of the earth is sinking. That is, a world life, which has completed its cycle, is about to close forever and ever. Thus, the oceans attacking the continents will begin to cover all lands together with all of their devastated cities, opened fissures, forests, valleys, and vast grounds. They will run after mankind like herds and swallow them. In places where the sea waters join with the fire pits and fissures, great explosions and immense vapor clouds will occur. In the meantime, continents will crack across, and all devastated regions which have been once ages-old civilizations, with all of their artifacts and monuments, will topple down into these pits of hell, and will vanish in a few hours. Over the places they are buried into fire pits, the enormous sea mass of the oceans will immediately cover them, and all continents of the world will soon be obliterated. New oceans will replace them which are thousands meters deep, and consequently, one more world cycle, together with all the civilization and material wealth it has attained so far, will be closed down, and become of the past which is destined to be forgotten. And in the midst of this turmoil, most of mankind will go to a cosmos which will respond to their needs, and the remaining few will be stranded and bewildered on the pieces of rock which have survived the great cataclysm in order to pass into the new world. 4. Some higher parts of the old continents, which sunk into the depths of the seas, will stay at the surface as large pieces of rocks, in order to constitute the islands at varying sizes and archipelagos of the future.